Have you ever really stopped to think about what makes a business sink or swim? We love to focus on the genius founder or that one killer product. But the real story, the thing that often decides a company's fate, it's usually happening completely outside of its control. So, yeah, let's dive into this hidden world.
And that brings us right to the big question, doesn't it? Is a business really the master of its own destiny? Or is it more like a tiny boat on a huge ocean getting pushed around by powerful, unseen currents? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack here, all those forces that can make or break an organization.
So, to get started, we've got to look beyond the business itself. We're stepping outside the office doors, we're going past the factory gates, and we're looking at the wider world, because that's where the real action is.
Okay, try to picture the business environment not as just one big thing, but more like a giant, expanding spiral. Right at the very center, that's where the business is. But wrapped around it are all these layers of influence. You've got the local market, then the national economy, and it just keeps going, all the way out to global events. Every single business, I don't care if it's big or small, sits somewhere in this spiral.
This idea leads us to a really fundamental split in how we have to think about a business. You've got the world inside the company versus the world outside of it. One of those, a business can control. The other? Well, the other, it just has to react to.
And this image right here just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the internal environment. That's everything a business can, at least in theory, control. And on the other side, you have the external environment. All the stuff a business has pretty much zero power over. And trust me, that distinction is everything.
So inside the business, we're talking about all the knobs and levers management can actually turn. This is stuff like the company's grand vision and its strategy, its resources, cash, equipment, talented people, and all those core departments like marketing, finance, and operations. These are the tools in the toolbox.
But then there's the outside world. And this is where things start to get really unpredictable. The external environment has its own layers too. You've got the immediate market, with its customers, suppliers, and competitors. Then there's the bigger macro environment. Think national politics, economic trends, and then the international environment, where huge global forces come into play. A business can't control any of this. It can only try to understand it and adapt. So, if the external world is this uncontrollable, constantly shifting landscape, how does anyone possibly navigate it? This brings us to what is maybe the most important skill in business today, understanding the very nature of change itself.
And here's the critical thing to get your head around. It's not just that things change, it's that the pace of that change is accelerating. It's getting faster and faster. New tech, new customer demands, new regulations, it's all happening quicker than ever before. And this creates a constant flood of opportunities for people who are ready and, well, a lot of threats for those who aren't.
Now, to make sense of all this change, we need a really powerful concept, and that word is paradigm. A paradigm, it's basically the set of unwritten rules of the game. It's the pattern or the model that tells you how to be successful in a certain field at a certain time. It's what everyone just accepts as normal. And here is a fantastic example. For decades, the dominant paradigm in manufacturing was that waste is normal. Seriously, it was just an accepted, natural part of making things. That was the rulebook everyone was playing by. But then, something called a paradigm shift happens. A totally new model with a brand new set of rules comes along and completely replaces the old one. A paradigm shift doesn't just change the game, it throws the old game out the window and starts a new one. All of a sudden, that perspective on waste flipped from being normal to being unacceptable. And suddenly, problems that seemed impossible to solve had solutions. And these shifts, they reveal two very different kinds of people. You have some who get hit with paradigm paralysis. They just freeze up, totally convinced that the old way that always worked is going to keep working. But then you have the paradigm pioneers. These are the folks with the guts to embrace the new rules and start writing the next chapter, even when it's scary and risky. Of course, it's also really important to be able to tell the difference between a real shift and just noise. A fad is a flash in the pan. Think hula hoops. But a trend is a general direction of change that's backed up by data and has real staying power. Spotting the trend and ignoring the fad is a massive skill for any leader. So we have all these external forces and these shifting paradigms. How do they actually connect with what's going on inside a business? Well, the key is to stop seeing the business as some kind of machine and start seeing it more like a living, breathing system. This is the crucial point. No business exists in a vacuum.
It's an open system, constantly exchanging things with its environment. It's much more like a living organism than a sealed box. It takes things in, it transforms them, and it sends new things back out.
And that flow, that's the heart of what we call this systems approach. It works like this. A business takes in inputs from the environment, things like raw materials, information, and money. Then it uses all its internal parts in a transformation process to create outputs, products and services. And then, crucially, it gets feedback from the environment like sales numbers or customer reviews, which then tells it what to do for the next cycle of inputs. It's just this continuous, interactive loop.
So, after all of that, the external layers, paradigm shifts, the systems approach, what's the bottom line? Why does actually understanding this hidden world matter?
Here it is. The real key to survival, and even growth, isn't just about being great at what you do today. It's about seeing those unseen forces, the shifting paradigms, the developing trends, and having the courage to adapt before the world makes you. It's all about being proactive, not reactive.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. Think about your own job, or your industry, or even just your own life. What's the current unwritten rule, the ruling paradigm that everybody just follows, and what are the little signs that it might be about to change?